Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Liv, for those that are new here. Today's class is yoga for bad wrists. So what I mean by that, make sure you're here for the right thing. This is not a particularly wrist strengthening yoga flow, although we will be adding some wrist strengtheners in because generally if you've got bad wrists, some strengthening never goes amiss. But it's a yoga flow that doesn't bear weight through our hands and our wrists. So expect to use your forearms a little more. For people that want to have a well-rounded yoga practice or a well-rounded yoga flow, but you're suffering with bad wrists at the moment, and therefore things like a down dog, things like plank, things like handstands are not available to you. So this flow removes all of those. We're going to start down in child's pose. So when you're ready, hop yourself onto your mat, take those knees a little bit wider than your hips, sit your bum down towards those heels, and then let your hands slide away from you. Let your forehead come to find the floor. And then just take a moment to settle, to soften, and to find stillness. Bringing the attention to the breath. And just allow yourself to take a nice deep breath in. And then slowly control that breath out and away from you. Again, as you breathe in, feel that extra space that you can create within your chest. And with the exhale, keep encouraging the body to feel heavy, to feel soft as you sink towards the mat. Take one more just like that. Inhale. Maybe those fingertips can crawl further away from you. And all the way out. Lovely. From here, taking your gaze forwards towards your hands, just walking your hands off the right side of the mat so your chest comes towards your right knee. Those hands can stay as they are. Maybe you want to stack them up onto your fingertips, or maybe left hand can hold right hand so that left side body gets a little extra stretch. Push the left sit bone down towards left heel. Breathe into that left rib cage. And then with the exhale, take it all the way off to the second side. And same options, either hands flat, fingertips, or right hand can hold left, and feel like you're pushing your right rib cage out and away from you, so you're really lengthening that side of the body. One more breath in. And then breathing out. Hands come back onto the mat. Bring yourself up onto your shins and just narrow your knees so that you're sat a little more comfortably onto the tops of the feet. I want you to make big sort of strong fists as we circle the arms to the sky. So big star shapes and then fists. That's a wrist strengthener, guys. So go as fast as you can. Reach those fingertips tall, lengthening side body. And then let your right hand come to the floor beside you. Left hand's going to keep making those stars. Find that side body stretch in the left side. Hips push a little bit left. Roll that shoulder back. Great. With a nice deep inhale, lift both arms back to the sky. Both hands making those fists again. Bet that left one's starting to ache. And then over to the other side. Left hand comes down. That right arm in the sky. Keep making your fists. Roll that shoulder back. Taking the gaze underneath the armpit. Great. Inhale, both hands to the sky, both hands making those fists. One final little push. And then as you exhale, release those hands, interlace them behind you. Palm faces palm. Draw the fist down towards the floor. Lift the chin, lift the chest as you squeeze shoulder blades together. Great. As you exhale and release, we're going to bring our hands out onto the mat into tabletop. Now, if you've got really bad wrists and you can't do even a tabletop, take it down onto your forearms. Otherwise, this is a nice opportunity to stretch the wrist, to work some mobility into them. So it is good for us to work our wrist health. Taking a few cat and cows. Inhale, lifting chest, sit bones to the sky, gazing up. Exhale as you round the spine, tucking tailbone, chin to chest. If you're on your forearms, this one feels particularly tricky. Inhale again, lifting, sit bones tall, squeeze your lower back. Exhale as you round, hollowing out the belly, broaden those shoulder blades. Great, one more of each. Inhale and exhale. And then draw yourself back towards a nice neutral spine. Allow your hands, or fingertips should I say, to draw some circles, so turning them slightly outwards. Again, depending on what your wrist issues are, if this is not suitable for you, you can just stay on your forearms. Maybe you could take a few more fist pumps. They're always good for strengthening through forearms and wrists. Turn those fingers all the way in towards each other and then walk your way back round towards a neutral tabletop. Turn your hands over, fingertips face each other, backs of the hands rest the mat, just to give the backs of the wrists that little bit of a stretch. The more weight that you put your legs, the less intense on your wrists, so you can change it depending on what it is you're working with today. And then draw yourself back towards neutral. Draw yourself down onto your forearms if you're not already. Elbows about as wide as your shoulders. And then step your feet away into a forearm plank. You can either have palms together, make a fist, or palms to the mat, whichever you prefer. Tailbone is tucked. Squeeze your glutes. Let your thighs squeeze towards each other as your belly pulls in and up. From here, you could choose to hold stationary, that's hard enough as it is, or you could take some plank saws. So imagine you're sort of sawing a bit of wood with your body. So you're going to shift forwards onto your very, very tippy toes and then push all the way back, heels to the back of the mat. Again, rocking forwards, rocking back, keeping your body as solid, as flat, as still as possible, just as you move forwards and back over the forearms. We'll go again for 4, for 3, that's good ab work, for 2, and for 1. As you get back towards your forearm plank, drop your knees and release your belly down into Sphinx. So making sure those elbows are still under the shoulders, root the elbows down, feel like you're pulling them gently back towards your hips as you lift your chest face forwards. Maybe press those palms down against the floor, releasing the fingers, and find that nice squeeze of the lower back. Press down through the hips, squeezing glutes, reach out through the toes. Take a nice deep belly breath and softly release it. Great, one more like that. And then exhale, release yourself all the way down onto your chest. I want you to bring your hands sort of next to your shoulders, but quite wide. We're going to take a deep breath in and lift into our baby cobra. So chest is lifting, pelvis is rooting, hands are floating. Hands are a little bit like cactus arms. We're going to find 10 lifts, so kind of like skydiver arms. I want you to squeeze your shoulder blades together, lift your palms and elbows as far off the mat as you can. And as you exhale, take them a little closer to the floor. And lift and lower. For 3, 4, keep that chest lifted for 5, look forwards, 6, 7, keep going, root down through the pelvis, last 3, last 2, and last 1. Lovely, let those elbows come down back into your Sphinx to prop you up. That's some good back strengthening, and again, palms either together or into a fist. Tuck those toes under behind you, lift your body back into your forearm plank. Find that nice squeeze of glutes, hollowing out through the belly, nice and strong through those shoulders, broaden through the shoulder blades. Last one, inhale. And then as you exhale, drop your knees down, push your hips back on top of your knees. We're coming into puppy pose, so sit bones high to the sky. Let your arms wiggle a little bit further away if you've got some more space to stretch into your shoulders. Forehead comes to rest to the mat. If you've got a little bit more range that you're working with, maybe lift your gaze. Let your chin or nose rest onto the mat instead. Keeping that nice steady breath. Creating that space within your torso. Encouraging a heavy sink each time you breathe out. Great, last one, inhale. And then exhale, walk your arms all the way back in towards the back of the mat. Tuck your toes under behind you, push your hips towards the sky as you come into a Ragdoll Fold. So knees are nicely bent, body is dangling over the legs, and let your head hang nice and free as well. You could take a soft sway with the torso from left to right if you like, or perhaps you're more comfortable, happier just to stay stationary. The weight is ever so slightly forwards towards the toes, finding that nice length in the whole back line of the body. From there, release the left fingertips down towards the mat. A deep breath in, send the right arm to the sky, gaze up towards it. Left knee bends as much as it needs to as the gaze follows the top hand. Nice big twist throughout the entire torso. Inhale. As you exhale, switching sides, right fingertips go down. Think like as if you're pinching the floor, left arm to the sky, turning through the torso. Left leg is working its way towards straight, or maybe your hamstrings are long enough to let it be straight. Right knee is bent as we like. Last in breath. And then exhale, hands down to the mat. Let your hands come to your waist, chin to the chest, knees are bent, and slowly allow yourself to unravel your way to standing. Taking your time as you stretch out the back and draw yourself up nice and tall. From there, arms alongside the body. Roll those shoulders back, let the chest feel nice and broad. And then see if we can rise our way all the way up onto our very tippiest tippy toes. Lift the heels. Find a nice squeeze of your bum muscles to keep that stability of your legs, keeping those heels as high as you can. From here, we're going to take a tippy-toe walk to the top of the mat. So small little steps. See if you can stay as high onto the balls of the feet as you were when you were stationary. Kind of harder than it sounds like it will be. Until you find your way to the top of the mat. Keep those tippy toes nice and tall. Maybe see if you can just close your eyes for a moment and see how that affects your balance. Wibbly, wobbly, and realizing how much of your gaze you use for your balance. You can then blink your eyes open, place those heels back down, give those calves a little rest, and just draw your feet a little closer together. With a nice deep breath in, reach your arms to the sky and gaze up towards them. On the exhale, bring your hands towards your chest as you draw right knee to chest as well, standing onto your left leg, squeeze left glutes to keep your stability. As you exhale, start to kick the right leg back towards warrior three, chest faces the floor, keeping that right hip a little bit rolled down so we've got a nice level pelvis for our warrior three. Shoulders away from the ears, holding what you have, inhale. On the exhale, start to bend your standing legs so that you can softly place that back foot down at the back of the mat. Use an inhale as you lift the arms overhead into your high lunge, keeping that right glute nicely engaged. Squeeze right bum, lifting the rib cage away from the pelvis. Breathing in, breathing out. From there, we're going to drop the back heel down as we open the arms into our warrior two. Feet onto a tight rope down the center of the mat. Reach out through those fingertips as you lunge into the front leg. Now from there, turn the palms to face the sky. I want you to keep your hands flat. So there's no movement at the knuckles, it's just our wrists. I want you to flex the wrists so the palms face you. It feels a little bit awkward. And then reach them back away. And again to flex and to extend for 8, for 7, for 6, take a look at both, make sure you're doing what you think you are, for 5, for 4, 3, really pull them in, 2, and 1. Make your, taking those hands back to normal, 2 straight legs as you inhale, left arm goes up and over as you find your reverse triangle. Find a little tuck of the tailbone, pulling the hips underneath, left arm reaching up and back so that left side body feels super long. Deep breath in and all the way out. Now see if you can maintain this leaning back shape. Front foot, I want you to turn the toes to match your back foot. So all toes are now pointing to the right side of the mat. And as you exhale, sweep your torso down into a wide-legged fold. Fingertips to release to the floor for a bit of stability. Readjust your feet if you need to. Take a nice deep breath in for a halfway lift, long flat spine. And as you exhale, allow yourself to fold. You can leave your hands as they are. Maybe you want to walk them a little further back towards the middle of your mat. Press down through the outer edges of the feet, lifting sit bones, and see if you can engage the quads. Lift the kneecaps up towards the hips. Each inhale is thinking of lengthening out the spine. And each exhale to allow that heavy torso, sit bones tall, finding that length in the hamstrings. One more breath in. Now, as you breathe out, let yourself come back to that halfway lift position. So perhaps use those fingertips to find a little bit of lift. Your back right foot, I want you to turn the toes away from you. Quite a big hip opener. So I want you to see if we can come down to Skandasana. Right sit bone towards right heel, left toes towards the sky. You can always stay onto the ball of this right foot if the heel doesn't want to stay down, or send your left arm behind you so that you can hold yourself in this position to hold the stretch. Right arm is going to drive this right knee wider. If you can go hands free, do feel free. Otherwise, leave the hands where you need to for some balance and support. Stack the chest up on top of the hips. Press down through the back of that left heel and try to drive as much weight as you can into the outer edge of this right foot, so towards your little toe rather than your big toe, which is probably where most of the weight is. One more breath in. And then as you breathe out, you're going to think of strength into this right leg. As you rise slightly out of your lunge, turn to face the back of the mat. Let the hands come down, drop the back knee. So now you're facing backwards, all toes point backwards. Inhale to low lunge, arms go up and overhead. Pressing into the ball of the back foot, squeezing through left glutes. Grow as long as possible into the side body. Breathing in, breathing out. Great, take one more, inhale. As you exhale, hands come down to the mat. Give yourself a little bit of support. If you really can't bear any weight through your hands, make fists so your fists can go down so you can support this knee back towards tabletop. We're still facing backwards. A little moment for us to work on our baby crow. So baby crow being on our forearms, hence the not using our wrists. So perhaps bring yourself onto the balls of your feet towards the back of the mat first. Send those knees as high up into your armpits as you can. In baby crow, we don't have as much room between our face and the floor to work with. Advantage of that, much less scary, less distance to feel like you're going to fall, but it's less room for the body to have space to balance into. So there's pros and cons to working our baby crow. Bury those knees into the armpits, reach your arms forwards, squeeze thighs in towards each other, hold belly in tight. As the elbows come down onto your forearms, look beyond your fingertips, round your spine, and think of your nose coming towards the mat between your hands. Your face is very close to the floor in a baby crow. Keep rounding that back, puff it up towards the sky. Hold what you have or keep trying. Last breath. And then exhale. Toes come back to the floor. Push those hips to the sky. Return yourself to a forward fold. Head is nice and heavy. Hips are nice and high. And if you feel ready for a bit of a deeper fold, your hands could hold your heels or your calves and give yourself a little pull. And now just pausing here for a moment, the second sequence, or the second side, should I say, we'll be doing facing the back of the mat. But if that doesn't suit you, now is a good opportunity to take yourself to the back of your mat, toes pointing to the top of the mat. Deep breath in. And all the way out. Right fingertips onto the mat in front of you. Inhale, left arm to the sky. Turn your gaze, reaching tall. Right knee bends, left leg is straight. Option to stay here, or this time, take the arm in the sky to drape over your lower back. The fingertips on the floor, go between the legs and see if you can find that bind around the back of your right thigh. Left shoulder is rolling back. Gaze is nice and tall, keeping the right rib cage nice and close to the right thigh. Breathing in. And then breathing out, release. We'll go straight to the second side. Left fingertips are down. Inhale, right arm goes high. Find that nice big twist to begin with. And then if you're taking it further, drape the arm over the lower back. Glue the left rib cage towards the left thigh and find that bind behind the left leg. Nice and long through the body. Breathing in. Breathing out. You can then release those hands down towards the mat. Soft knees, hands to waist, chin to chest. Roll your way all the way up to stand. And then we'll take our tippy toes along the length of the mat. This time, if you want to make it harder, I want you to draw knee towards chest as you walk. So find your way up onto the balls of the feet. Keeping the gaze steady, the breath steady. You can walk as normal, or perhaps see if you can draw the knee a little higher before stepping it forwards. And then again with the other leg. Stepping it forwards. Taking your time is kind of a non-optional here. You have to move slow and steady until you step your way to the back of the mat. Let those heels rest down. Take a deep breath in, arms rise to the sky, gazing up. As you exhale, hands to chest, left knee pulls in towards the body, standing onto the right leg, squeeze right glutes for your stability. Breathing in as you hold. As you exhale, start to extend that leg out behind you, warrior three. Chest is forwards, reach out through the heel, flex the feet, and find that nice long length between crown of head and the heel. Standing leg can always stay a little bit bent. Let the standing leg bend deeper so that back foot can slowly, gracefully find its way to the back of the mat, and then inhale, send the arms overhead into your high lunge. Push away through the back heel, squeeze through the glutes, lift the chin away from the chest. Last one, breathe in. And then dropping the back heel down as you open up into warrior two, arms nice and wide, squeezing shoulder blades together. Turn those palms to face the sky, taking those few more wrist flexes, wrist strengtheners, turn those fingertips tall and then reach them away. And maybe even go take it as far down as you can. Point your fingertips towards the mat and then point them to the sky and to the mat. For 6, for 5, for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Straighten out the front leg, front arm reaches up and over, reverse triangle, nice and long between top fingertips and front toes. Breathe into that right rib cage. And then as you breathe out, turn your front foot so that all toes now point towards the side of the mat. Sweep the body down towards that wide-legged position. Take a nice inhale for that halfway lift, find the length in your spine. And as you exhale, take that length maybe a little bit further. This time, if you would like to, your hands can hold the ankles, the calves, any part of the leg that you like to give yourself that little extra pull into the fold. Breathing in, breathing out. Great, let's take one more full belly breath. And all the way out. Great, fingertips to the mat for your halfway lift. Find that little bit of lift. This time we're coming to the left foot at the top of the mat, so turn the toes slightly outwards. Think of left sit bone down towards left heel as the right toes turn to flex to the sky. Again, one hand behind you is a nice idea if you want to try and sink low but your hips aren't quite ready for it. Hands in front of chest, drive that left leg wide. Press away through that right heel and sit as tall as you can. Obviously, leaning forwards is what the body does to compensate for the tightness into the hip. So we try and keep the weight back as best as possible to keep opening into this left side. Breathe in and breathe out. So nice and strong through this left leg. A nice deep inhale, push to rise, turn your way back to face the top of the mat. Drop the back knee down, all toes are pointing forwards. Inhale, lift the arms up and over into your low lunge. Right glutes are squeezing long through the side body. Great, take one more here, inhale. As you exhale, hands come down. Let that foot slide back. 2 options here, depending on where you are in your practice. If you want to give baby crow a second go, now is a good time. Otherwise, perhaps you'd like to take a supported headstand. Hands come to hold biceps to make sure elbows are shoulder width apart. Interlace your fingertips, maybe just hide that little finger away so you're not squishing it when you push your palms down. Crown of the head to the mat, pull the back of the hands into the back of the head, gazing towards toes, lifting your hips to your half headstand, walking your toes in, keep your shoulder blades broad and your neck long. Maybe choosing to stay and hold here. This is a very good preparatory pose for headstand, a great place to build strength. If you feel that you want to practice your headstand, one heel towards bum, let the other toes roll onto the very, very tippy toes and see if the second heel can pull in towards you. Try to avoid, do not kick up into your headstand. And if you're using a bit of momentum, make sure it's minimal and that you're in control. Always a good idea, if you're new to inversions, to practice in front of a sofa or a wall or a spotter, or something that will catch you if it goes wrong. Wherever you are, I want you to see if you can return your way to a child's pose as softly, as controlled as you can. Knees nice and wide, bum towards heels, and then arms maybe walk a little further away as your forehead comes to rest. Allow yourself to take a full, deep breath in, and then maybe opening the mouth, letting it out. And one more if that felt good. Full breath in, opening the mouth, let it all go. Just give yourself a couple of moments of stillness here. If you'd like to take a more traditional Shavasana, do feel free at this point to roll your way over onto your back. We're just giving ourselves a few moments of stillness. A few moments, last moments, to listen to the movement of the breath as we allow everything to soften and release and let go. And then from where you are, allow yourself to perhaps walk the hands in to return all the way up to be seated onto the shins. Use your final breath in to circle your arms to the sky, growing tall, gazing up. And your final breath out to lower your chin towards your chest and the hands down towards the belly. Thanks so much for joining me, you guys. I hope you enjoyed that movement without the concern of how you might need to modify to not have to use your wrists. If you'd like to take some more classes with me of this length when the wrists are feeling better, you can find lots of classes of this length in this playlist here. Don't forget to subscribe if you'd like to be kept up to date with new classes, new tutorials, and new videos on all things yoga.